The Bleach Bracer Awards for the year 2023 is officially here. It's in the description. Check it out if you haven't already seen it. Alright, lads, so the next set of Limit Breaker quest has officially been announced. In this case, it is starting a tad bit earlier. Usually, Limit Breaker starts 1 week into the month, a new month. In this case, it's starting a tad bit earlier on the 1st. So on the 29th, on Thursday, when you're pulling for the potential new characters, if you get Sang-Do, for example, because we are going to talk about him later in this video, you get to take him into the Limit Breaker quest the next day, which I think is pretty cool. Hopefully, the quest itself also stays for like around 2 weeks. Usually, Limit Breaker's only here for a week. And hey, if they wanted to release another one halfway through the month, I'd also be down for that, but I'm not sure that's actually the case. Hopefully, the quest itself does last upwards to 2 weeks, because usually Limit Breaker's only around for 1 week. And it also means that if it does last 2 weeks, you can then summon on the individual banner for Sang-Do and then take him into Limit Breaker if you are lucky enough. I did that last month with Ruroka, and I kind of like the system they have going. So hopefully this quest doesn't leave before the individual banner does start. But with that, we have our next set of rules. In this case, to no one's surprise, they are forcing us to bring a speed character because Sang-Do is a speed character. Slot number 1, we are going against Power Attribute Hollows. We are forced to bring a speed character, and then rule 2 and 3 is melee damage times 2 and killer effect times 5. Slot 2, we're going against Technical Rankas. It's power attribute damage times 2 and killer effect times 5. And then slot 3, we're going against more technique characters. So ideally what we are seeing here is that one, Sang-Do is going to be the main character to bring in slot number 1. Number 2, you're going to want to bring Rukia, Power Sword version. Good chance she does return while this quest is available, by the way. And then slot 3, you want to bring another power character, preferably one with Sword Killer. But if you are using Rukia in slot number 2, you are going to get that built-in extra recharge, allowing that character in slot number 3 to get their strong attacks to come back, so maybe you don't even need to bring a Sword Killer. Just bring a good power character, like, for example, 8th Anniversary Ichigo. In fact, this team on your screen right now might be one of the better teams for this particular quest. And it would be a team that I'd be kind of interested in trying out if I do actually pull the characters. So with that said, let's look at some of the options. What characters are best brought here? First up, with slot number 1. So in this case, we want to bring a speed character, or we're more so forced to bring a speed character, and we want to make sure they're a melee character with also Hollow Killer. Now, lucky for us, that shouldn't be too hard to fulfill. There's actually, you know, to be fair, there's not that many good speed Hollow Killers that are melee. Damn. There really isn't. Now, if you have Senjumaru, then of course you can bring Senjumaru. She's a great character, really high damage output, and what I like about Senjumaru in slot number 1 is that her damage output, again, is already good as is, right? We saw last month with Rangiku in slot number 1 is that she made for a decent substitute. Not nearly as good as Ruroka, for example, and the same can be said now. Senjumaru is not going to be nearly as good as Sang-Do. I mean, Sang-Do has Frenzy plus 3 with the gauge. 120% SP boost, right? But when compared to Ruroka and also Rangiku, for example, Rangiku only had Frenzy plus 1 with the 100% more damage and a certain Berserker value. She was also not immune to the stats element that was on the floor, so it was kind of awkward playing with her. You had to be safe, had to be careful. In Senju's case, I mean, Frenzy plus 2 with 100% more damage and also her 50% Berserker value, that's good as is. She's immune to status elements too, so easily your go-to character if you do not own or don't decide to pull for Sang-Do. She's going to be a really good character in this case, and will be easily a good character to take you all the way to stage 20, even if your other characters in slot number 2 and 3 are lacking. I know Senjumaru is a limited character, not everyone's going to have her, but she is a recent character, has come out. You might have her, she was definitely worth going for when she did release. Now, one thing that you can do is, again, mix and match, right? You don't need to bring a melee Hollow Killer. What you can bring is just a speed melee character. In that case, you're still getting the 2x damage output, and in that case, once more, your options open up a lot more. One of the better examples is 1000 Year Blood War Yachiru Unohana, an easy go-to character. For some people, it might be worth more so bringing her over even Senjumaru because you might have this character duped out. She was worth going for dupe. She was an anniversary character. A lot of people pulled for her, and it was encouraged so, right? If you have Yachiru, which I would like to think most people do because of how big of a character she is, and again was during the anniversary, it's worth using her, right? Tensa, a character you can definitely bring. Oryu is also a character you can bring. Now, these characters aren't going to be nearly as good as, you know, Senjumaru or as, you know, Sang-Do. That's quite given, but they are easily good substitutes. You know, Oryu, for example, being a premium character for an anniversary that came out over a year ago, you might have him 5-5. If you do, easy character to bring in slot number 1. So with that, additionally, what you also can do, again, is not bring a melee character. Let's say it's bring a range character. But if you are bringing a range character, make sure they have Hollow Killer. And in that case, it opens up the door a tad bit, and there's some decent subs here, but realistically, the only character I would look into bringing is Aaroniero. Aaroniero is a good character, definitely worth bringing if you have him maybe duped out. 2-5, he's definitely worth bringing in slot number 1. Other than Aaroniero though, for ranged holo killers, I wouldn't recommend bringing 5th Annie, Byakuya, or Ichigo, or Noelle. I mean, you could probably get away using Orihime. I doubt it'd be a good option. And to a certain extent, you could maybe even bring this character. He's an ad character, so his damage is going to be somewhat consistent. He's buffing your team too. I might try him out. I'll try him out, see if it does work, but it definitely shouldn't be anyone's go-to option, more sort of last resort. So slot number 1 should be quite the easy slot to fulfill. Plenty of good characters to use here. But of course, if you do get Sanctu, it's encouraged and of course recommended that you do actually bring him. He's going to be a character that could get you easily into stage 30 plus, right? Now let's have a look at slot number 2. Now in this case, we want to bring a power character with a rank killer. And in this case, unfortunately, there is only like one character that's good for this. We had a similar set of rules a few months ago for Limit Breaker, more so when Rukia first came out. And in this case, again, Rukia realistically is the only good character for this slot. Perfect condition. I guess to a certain extent, you could probably get away using this Rukia, maybe another character, but no one's going to be as good as Rukia, especially because our most recent power of rank killers are being characters I don't own actually. Funny enough, for some reason, who I don't own actually, none of them are like really that good, especially when it comes to the Limit Breaker. Their damage output isn't as high, but Rukia is going to be a great character here. Of course, she is a power of rank killer. She has an SA2 team heal to keep your team potentially at full stamina in case they take damage, and she's also immune to freeze. Additionally, since you are encouraged to use a power character in slot number 3, having Rukia makes your team even better. Now, one thing that I like about using Rukia in slot number 2 this time around is that because the rules are killer effect times 5 and power damage times 2, she isn't being hurt by that SA2. We spoke about it multiple times. Every time we speak about this character, we talk about that SA2. It's the worst part about her. When she was first optimal, when this character first released, it was range damage times 2, and that SA2 is a melee attack, so even in the quest that she's designed for, Limit Breaker, she's still getting hurt by that SA2. But in this case, since there's no range or melee damage buff, she isn't getting any nerf damage here, which I think is a good thing, and Rukia, of course, is going to be a really good character for slot number 2. When it comes to your other replacements, unfortunately, there isn't that many other great options here, especially because you want to use a power character in slot number 3, so you also want to have a good character for that slot, and power only has like 2-3 good characters realistically. Of course, the go-to and the character that I'm going to use here is 8th Anniversary Ichigo. Easy character choice here. While he isn't a traditional Limit Breaker character, he is always just good or reliable, right? Character gets a lot of hate for no reason. To a certain extent, I would say he's underrated, but in his case with his Frenzy Free, increased chance to inflict weakening and drain with the Poise Break, you're going to use your SA2, you're going to chop all the enemies in the SA2, you're going to apply your weakening, and you're going to be doing more damage. Overall, just good, solid character to bring in slot number 2, or even 3 if you really need to. If you already have Rukia, then bring Ichigo in slot number 3. Other than Rukia though, I mean, Yama is definitely a character you can bring here. Other than that though, Nelio's always a good option. Frenzy 2, increased chance of extasiment, weakening. You can get by with her. She's immune to freeze too, so you should be fine. If you have Mayuri and also Yumachika, I guess you might as well bring them. Their strong attack kit and damage output isn't as good, but if you have no other better options, you might as well. It's just kind of unfortunate that power is in a very bad spot and we keep being encouraged to use power characters. 2 power characters this time actually, because again, slot number 3, you want to bring a power character. In this case, though, a power super killer. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to power super killers, there aren't that many good ones. I mean, our best 2 options are characters that came out like 2022, 2021. So we are eventually due a power super killer. And I guess to a certain extent, you could get away using this character. I actually would be interested in using him, especially alongside Rukia, right? Because then you're getting the built-in recharge. They might be good options to use for slot number 3 if you really want to. Same goes for Kisuke. He's going to have the paralysis. He's immune to status limits. He should be honestly fine, but his damage output is going to be quite lacking. Might be one of the more slower clear times when it comes to your stages, as opposed to, slot number 1 and 2. As always, though, since slot number 3 is the flexible slot, there's no rules here. It's just you're going against technique Soripers, but you don't necessarily have to bring even a power character. What you could just bring is a super killer. And in this case, there's quite a few extra options, other good characters that you can bring here. 8th Anniversary White, he's got a super killer. He's good enough to be brought here. Ichibei has a super killer. He's a Limit Breaker character, right? He gets the built-in recharge. He benefits from getting easy kills because it builds up his gauge. Easier character you can bring in slot number 3, despite him not being a power character. And maybe your best option in slot number 3 is going to be Ichigo. In his case, remember, he is a character that doesn't really care about attribute advantage. He more so cares about having killer. And the reason for that is because he does have an increased chance to inflict status ailments only against Soripers and Quincy's. Slot number 3, you're going against Soripers. So Ichigo is a character you can bring. He might actually be my go-to character for slot number 3, given I have the character max Transcended. With the increased chance of fixed stats summons, you're going to have Frenzy +2, with the 80% SP boost active almost all the time, in which case you're then doing 150% more damage, and then you also do have the SA-free charge effect, which allows you to do even more damage. So yeah, Ichigo is going to be a go-to character for Slot number 3 if you do have him. Nice CMB used there. And then as for other characters, while those 3 that I just briefly mentioned are the best, you can also potentially bring Safui Toshiro, you can even bring it 7th Anniversary Ichigo, but the more we go down, the worse the characters get and the less reliable they are. And of course, naturally, you can always just bring Yuha and also Kyoge in slot number 3, just to have that backup of a good character that can do a lot of damage, and in the case for Yuha, he does give you the extra Soul Bomb. So with that said, that was the breakdown for this month's Limit Breaker quest. Again, the go-to team is most likely going to be Sangdu in slot number 1, Rukia in 2, and then 8th Anniversary Ichigo in slot number 3. If you have this team, you're probably going to be able to easily get upwards to stage, maybe even 35+. If you don't have these characters though, like me actually, I don't own Sangdu or Rukia, my plan is to potentially use Senjumaru in slot number 1, Ichigo in slot number 2, and then Ichigo in slot number 3. This team, I'm fairly certain it will get to stage 24, 25, which for the most part is usually my goal. Most people's goal in this game mode, more so, should be to get to stage 19 to get all the Transcendence points and also orbs. And in this case, I feel like the month should be relatively easy. Plenty of characters you can bring here. Plenty of good characters too, most importantly. Either way, let me know what team you lads plan to use. And let's see you lads next time. Take care and peace.